Hi everybody, this is Katie Oshiwanita with Being AIS Reality Check for Session 5, Part 2, What and Where is Sanctuary Island in New Earth Now, right? By Alignment and Spirit Incorporated, produced by Being AIS Services, of course a branch of Alignment and Spirit Incorporated. And we talked a little bit last week about the deity planes and the Aurora Continuum field of our neural network pathways of mind, of the all that is, right? God Source First Eternal Ah-yah Ay'a, Yumi Yes They It. And that we've been working on, in these planes of existence, of both our personal and the planet, quote-unquote, planetary light body structure. And we're now looking and working to activate and embody our spirit body structure within the eternal internal core of Source itself. So I'm going to get a little bit into the background history of the process. And again, the background, the technicals, I utilize the work of E'Ashayana Arhayas, formerly known as Anna Hayes, or Deane, Azurite Press, Arhayas Productions. Okay. And I utilize a lot of the sliders material, which is really another way of sliding through the neural network pathways of mind. Okay. And so we spent quite a few years working on that material, ended up having other things occur, including what we're talking now of Aurora Earth. But this is the book that I'm currently using a lot of material from right now. Sliders 12, Externalization of the Krist, Secrets of the DhA-ya-TEi, Part 1. The Seven Sons of Cosmea, Keys of Aden, Budding of the Lotus Seed, and Plasma Body Initiation. This was occurred Sarasota, Florida, FOL, January 2012. A lot of the information we get out of that, and I also may utilize Sliders 11, the DhA-ya, Doorways of the Silver Seed Temple, Pods of Creation, Samaya, Water Command, and Mirror in the Sky Activation Level 3, Physical Body Adept Training, and that was August 12th of 2011 in Sarasota, Florida as well. Okay, and so going to get a lot of the technicals of Sanctuary Island down. Next week we'll get into more of the actual biological or spiritual mechanics of that with the pod, what we call the E'Ashayana Salon and pod space, my pod space, and so forth. With that, and a little bit more into the guardians involved of who we are as the all that is. Okay. And one of the things that we utilized or ended up with that mechanics of I'm just watching, my friend of mine is washing his car, so hopefully that sound won't come over to here. There's a in connecting, remember, with the DhA-TEi planes, bringing that consciousness of mind, that presence of the all that is, through that Aurora Continuum consciousness field that maneuvered its way through the energy centers and energy lines that I always talk about with the Chelonic science. There's, I'm not going to go into detail, just to try to give sort of general information at this point for people to digest. Let's see. No. Yeah, the light, I had just had sun shining and now it's kind of going away. But I think you guys can get the gist of seeing that. It's on page 12. The 7 eternal internal core cosmea sons and the eternal deity fem families of Krystal Adashi adepts. And Adashi is another name, is a name for actually what we have been doing in the creation of the dimensional planes of existence. Because we're all still in the mind of the all that is, right? We are still God's first eternal Ah-yah Ay'a, and that's core, what we are. Seth talks about, doesn't even remember that expression, doesn't even remember where it came from anymore. It's been in its own expression for so long. But in understanding that in the domains of, in our domain, we have the amethyst sun and the indigo sun, okay, in our domain down here, the violet suns. And then that brings us into going into the blue, green, violet. Okay, and then that merges into the, we kind of have a blue, green, green, blue, and then it kind of goes into different dimensional domains as it expands out into more the connecting into the spirit body. And I've talked about the 3 core suns that birth out of the central sun. You have the aquiline sun 1, also known as Reyes Aminas, Krystal Logos. You have the white sun of the Rhea deity. You have the aqua sun, and these are, let's see, the aqua sun is more of the pale blue, and the white is more pearly white, and the aquiline is sort of the blue-green, turquoisey color. So these energetic, vibratory, sound, light, these colors are the light spectrum, the electrical. Okay. So yeah, the white, blue, aquiline suns, the green suns, the blue, green, and violet suns. So we go through the domains. And I've talked about that quite a bit. Anyway, that mechanics first came in, and that's what we originally utilized. And then I want to say it was in 2006, I think the fall of I want to say oh wait a minute. Maybe it was the spring of 2007. I'm trying to remember exactly. We got something called the Gyrodome. Yeah, and the Gyrodome, or we got that term, and then we started connecting the suns into that, and then we got, hopefully the light is going to let you see that. Okay. And this is the Aquafarian Navajo Akusha-TEi Passage Activation Code, the Crystal Heart of Aquarian and Akusha-TEi Ascension Code, but it actually connects in geographically to different areas on the earth plane. Okay, that was kind of really sort of starting when we really kind of started to connect in, and it was in Peru, and there's different locations in Peru that we connected into to do certain activations, because we knew that there was probably going to come a point where there's going to be, I've talked about this, we as the all that is wanted to experience a very finite survival of the fittest, don't know what's going to, being all-knowing. We wanted to have an experience of not being all-knowing all the time and having to use our wits and to survive and make decisions and create and do different things. We just got really a bit wrapped up into it. So we've been in the process of kind of reconnecting back up again the neural network pathways of mind. This Aquiferian Navajo Acushate Pasha's activation code was one of many things that we've been using. Aquiferian refers to beings that are from what we call Eartha. And Eartha is actually what a very huge planet connected directly into the, I'm going to say, connected directly into Andromeda in 31. And it's a very strong Christic ascension matrix system that chose to continue staying awake and aware and able, and didn't really want to get into being quite as finite structure as we are here on this Earth plane, or Raya Earth, or Uriah Earth, as it's becoming again. So I just wanted to show you that. And the next thing with that, and actually with this particular code structure, like I always say, the accordion thing, everything's all in the same place at the same time, just at different angular rotations of particle spin, right, or vibratory, that tension between the light and sound, right, and the oneness of the I am, or the I and the am, holding it. So this structure kind of breathes and holds particular tensions. And let's see. Okay. I will get to actually, believe it or not, Aurora, or Sanctuary Island in a minute. Okay, the Gyrodome, let's see, well, hold on. Put my notes in there, and this is page 37. Let's see, showing it with the light a little better on it, a little bit closer. I will see later how this shows up on the film. I may insert images if I find this is just not working because of the clouds. I don't know, must be the time of day. Okay. This is the Gyrodome, Adori Acushate, and the Aurora Platforms safe zones, hibernation zones, physical geographical connections. So this represents the passageway, or the neural network passageway, okay, that we can slide, or initially we're talking about gliding, which we would take, I think, a portion of our physical self through to experience these different domains, connecting into Eartha, which then would connect us into deep, I think this was even before we had knowledge, as deep knowledge as we have of the deity planes. We're just going to connect into amorphousness. We were just going to connect into Eartha, basically. So, in this passageway, okay, down at the bottom was connecting, okay, yeah, down at the bottom represents Arizona, okay, a particular location in Arizona. And that was one place that we could enter into. And then there was places in Phoenix, Arizona. And then there was a place that we could, and there was an Aurora platform that we could connect there. And there's also, of course, an adjoining hibernation zone, which is I talk about things being frequencies and vibrations and organically running, but also there can be certain twists or shutdown or changing in the coding to where it's not functioning quite so organically, and so then it's not in our apartheid receivers, because if it is in our apartheid receivers, we're running on that non-organic sort of reverse mechanics. So one of the hibernations, and it sounds like hibernate. You're still alive. It's still a consciousness field of reality that's still alive, but it's sleeping. It's not fully awake and aware and able. And it's a portion, an energetic portion, a 1/3 portion of the Earth plane. we here on Net Earth, which is kind of a sort of a version in many respects of a hibernation zone, but not quite to that level, is another 1/3. And then we have, which I talked about last week, Ascension meeting Earth. Remember I was talking about Net Earth and Ascension meeting Earth combining. So then you had a strong 2/3, and then I kind of said there was another percentage. That's the hibernation zones. So one of those is actually, let's see, Agartha is one, and I don't know why I'm spacing on these. Atlantis and Lemuria are warps. Olympus, Oz really is a place called Oz. It really is actually a place. And I think that was connected into Shasta. I think there's a connection with Mount Shasta, because that is a very big, huge power. All these places are huge power spots that got a little bit. They had to be shut down to go to sleep so that we could be finite. So we've been working in various ways to bring in that quantum as well. And there's been a lot of success, and a lot of not so much success, but working with the consciousness field of its light body structure. Okay. All right. So you have, as you're going up this neural network pathway of the morphogenetic field of the Earth plane, basically the Earth plane, connecting back into Eartha consciousness field. So you have the physical geographical location, and then that you access point, and then as you move through, you have the Aurora platforms. Remember, because we needed those kind of safe zones or access points, because the mechanics have been shut down and twisted and altered a bit, so we can't easily go up and down to be all knowing again, right? But the Aurora is helping us to become all knowing again, or making it a lot easier. So that was, let's see, called the Aurora Slide Zone Sphere Gyrodome Crystal River Host Field. So we got into the mechanics of that, and that eventually led us then to the kind of putting a lot of things together, putting what I had just showed you with the this. Okay, I showed you that mechanics. Again, it's almost like a Cathara grid structure. It's got these things that you can. Energetic life has that. Organic life has, to some extent, that organic structure of its spirit body. We're going to say we're starting to connect into the spirit body, and utilizing the spirit body of the planet with the gyrodome that I just showed you, which then led kind of putting it all together. Okay. Right. And that's on page 38. This is the 5 DhA-ya shields and the 7/7 spans of the Crystal River Host. And again, Crystal River Host is another way of saying how we are able to bring back in our spirit level of who we are. Not full, we've at this point pretty much done a lot of activations of the light body structure of the outer domains. We're now wanting to bring in the inner eternal domains and of the spirit body. And so of not just ourselves, but of the planet. We're an intricate part of the earth plane, of the morphogenic light star or whatever consciousness field. So with bringing this mechanics in, so let's see, this represents basically this. Okay. And this structure, that key spacing. Hold on. The Aquafaria Navejo Cruciate Passage Activation Code, the Crystal Heart of Aquarian, a Cruciate Ascension Code. That mechanics. Okay. Kind of connecting into that passage brought us another expansion of understanding a little bit more deeper what the passage is about in regards to our spirit body. Okay. So, you know, down below we have our connection, I think, into I keep wanting to say Tucson, Phoenix, Arizona, and all the mechanics. And we had an island consciousness field, reality field, called right here, Salvage Island, and that one I think is Sanctum. Okay, and this was all in this earth plane, net earth, well, I'm going to say net earth plane. There was the Aurora Continuum platform energy came in to kind of help us really bypass Salvage and Sanctum, because they we just couldn't get them awakened, basically, of that consciousness field. As much as we wanted to and tried, it just wasn't going to happen. Too many things have happened for that not. And it's okay. There's a percentage or quantum of that reality field that's choosing to stay in that reality field. And I think that's probably just as well, because it is an experience. It is, we chose to do it. We created, we worked really hard to create a finite light structure. And it will have its own time vector consciousness field of reality will always hold that space. And so whenever anybody wants to go back there and experience that reality, they can. That's all right. We're eternal beings, all right? We never get it done, and we never get it wrong, and we never get it done. We're always evolving, expanding, and growing and changing. Okay. So we maneuvered through that, connected into a portion consciousness of the Eartha that has connected us into the deity planes, basically, into the eternal core of Source itself. And that kind of gateway or opening is the associated consciousness plane of reality, is Sanctuary Island. Okay. And that would be more right in here, in this space. Okay. We also have Arhayas. Let's see. We have Arhayas, and then there's Arhayas. And I've been maneuvering myself personally back and forth. I start out working with people in Sanctuary Island. And again, next week we'll go into the mechanics of that, where I get people connected in that way. We play around on the island, a beautiful island, which I'll show you some pictures of the island in a minute. Really beautiful, powerful island. And then we go into the Great Hall on Sanctuary Island, and we work with that energy and transdimensional time-space vector place, and connecting into something called the Yuda ray frequencies and some other stuff that's working on deeper levels, going even deeper into the deity planes, where the deity planes were created, and even deeper in that, as we're resetting, I should say, but not resetting not resetting in terms of totally resetting the clock, so to speak, to where it's not where the typical reset is like on the computer. When you have your computer, you have all this great information you've programmed into your computer, but then you have a problem with your computer and you have to reset the operating system, and it goes back to where it was in the beginning, and you lose all the great stuff that you had put into it. This is a different kind of reset. It's taking all the wonderful stuff that we've created and experienced, and as we reset, organizing and reformatting to... Okay, so we're talking about Sanctuary Island, and I will also do a better picture, be seeing a better picture on this video. Plus I have my own little rendition that I'll be showing as well. It's actually a pretty good sized island. This is the portion that we would see coming from Siesta Key Beach, Florida. That's kind of our physical link up. We connect in through the in a little travel vehicle that we can travel over to in mind and consciousness to this island, which is off the coast of E'Ashayana Arhayas Plains. And let's see, my my other little cheat sheet of some of these structures. I think the yeah, we have a Cosmea blue flame pillar generator. Okay, these are all plasma generating energy centers. We have the right there would be the crystal lake with huge crystal silver waterfall that empties into the abyss. So that's the abyss is down here. We have clear crystal clusters all over the place. We have let's see, deep crevice. Let's see. Yeah, right there, right there. Deep crevice with large abyss crater links to underground crystal cave system, and has many underground and above ground refined cave dwellings. And I've actually kind of connected in with some of those beings, and the KDDO I think 2.3 material utilizes some of that. Now we're connecting into a future place on in Aurora Earth plane, but I think there is still a tie-in to this inner cavernous place. And I've noticed that a lot of them beings, the I think they're the Nomi. Some of them are the Nobis, and they have the pointed heads, the I can't say it, but it's, you know, pointy heads. Very beautiful, loving little light beings. The temple meeting area of the Silver Sea Temple of Ay'a, or Ay'a. And let's see, Silver Lake with 3 silver waters. Yeah, right there. Silver Lake with 3 silver waterfalls. You have down here the tidal pools. Am I getting this right? Yeah, the tidal pools down here. Do a lot of work there, a lot of cleansing, clearing, regenerating work is done there. You have the ocean as a hydrolase. It's a very thick water that's very complicated, complex compound, water molecule compound. It's actually the correct kind of water. And then, yeah, that was, Yeah, that one is the water gate between mainland and Sanctuary Island, and mainland is Emmaus Sun. Okay, so that, did I, right there, that's the gate that I was talking about, the water gate. Okay. And I have this funky feeling, and I need to triple check, that Emmaus Sun also may be related to, it's related to the deity planes, but I think also geographical location is Mayaka Lake. Mayaka is a very ancient temple complex is under the water of that lake, and there's a tie-in, I think, to that place. I mentioned the Great Hall Temple. That is what it looks like, plasma generators. Next week we'll get in a little bit more of that mechanics of the plasma lotus structure that goes with that. I guess this is just a closer up shot of the Great Hall. That area, boy, I tell you, there are times, because remember, this is the opening. This is like the closest point being in the spirit body consciousness that can connect into the light body structure consciousness field. So it's like maneuvering, maneuvered our way through our programs of mind, through taking our breaths on Aurora zones, platforms, you know, making our way through. We finally got to Sanctuary Island, and there were some pretty heavy things that, as many of people know, that occurred in 2012 into 2013 of those forces that we created that wanted to keep alive, and so we're working really hard at that and probably connecting into parts of ourselves that were afraid of change and expansion. So there was times I would just you know, get into my pod space, we'll talk about more next week, and I would just go into the Great Hall, and I could just, you know, and those programs that were really running just could not get to me there, and really helped me to be here now, talking about what I'm talking about, and not locked, either croaky-doodled or locked up in some kind of weird program, which might as well have been locked, croaky-doodled. Basically, really would have croaky-doodled in the becoming too finite. Yeah, it's this right here. I think this area, I don't think it was this, maybe it's the whole area here. Anyway, it connects interestingly into India, the grids of India. And there was a particular workshop that was what we did, that we did some activations to connect Sanctuary Island back to that area. Always remember, and it's a part of the 7 natural hermetic laws, as it is in the higher realms, it is in the lower. The micro, the macro. Okay? You have your little Cathar grid structure that's in the little tiniest molecule. It's also the same structure in very huge galactic domains. So really understanding being here on this earth plane and really tuning in, you still get the spirit eventually to tune in and wake up those apartheid receivers, the neural network pathways, the DNA that wake you up to it. And I'm thinking, did I actually get through what I wanted to get through? Just stressing again, I wanted to make clear with the when I talked about the suns, instead of they're traveling through the dimensional range, which is, I guess you could say, because it's sun's the light body structure, and then tuning into that Gyrodome. It's also known as the Intrical Bridge, that we had in the Aurora safe zones placed in that Intrical Bridge field, and the awakening of this code for the mechanics that was embedded into the earth plane, so that if it got to the point where the system, we couldn't naturally connect back in through the ascension regular normal ascension process, we had a way of still reconnecting our neural network pathways of mind into our spirit body, waking the light body structure, and waking and connecting, embedding into the spirit body, and how that connection led to the Aurora platform connection of this energy consciousness that then connected us into with the islands, kind of bypassing actually this salvage and the sanctum islands that were supposed to be initially in there, so that when we woke up enough, we could connect into those islands, learn and nurture our spirit body in that level, connect to the next, connect to the next. We had to have our Aurora Continuum energy coming in to bypass them and bring us, have a way to travel through. Working with the mechanics of basically the light body structure, or the manifest structure, okay? And even the middle domains are still manifest structures, or deep planes, dimensional planes, and even to a certain extent the inner domains as well, until you actually go into the core, and then that's just that different, whole different, everything's different. So yes, and so now we're embodying Sanctuary Island, which then helps us connect into Arhayas, more connecting into the deity planes, and that's opening up into Arhayas, which originally with Arhayas, when I connected into that, was it was a number of years ago, when we were first, well, I guess it was 2012, 2013. It was like being in this field of cloudy vapor energy up really high, and I just sort of felt myself sort of merge into it and start sort of the process of my vibration, starting to learn how to vibrate at that level. So now I go in there, and it's really like a real place, and I been able to connect into that Intrical Bridge, Krystal Bridge. Talks about the 7-7, which I was trying to get my brain around that. There's a 7 Aurora. There's a 7 connected into Sanctuary of that link up, and then the Arhayas is the other 7, and I think it has to do with the 7 suns link up with each of these domains, or reality fields. So that is a nice little nutshell about Sanctuary Island. Always loving, accepting beings, very awake and aware, lots of healing, physical healing, working with people with the Harmonizing Journey to Realignment sessions, a lot of physical healing, just awaking. I know it's starting to itch again. Frequencies rising as I talk about this. Just still exploring, still finding newness of it, and so just a very safe, secure, no trying to gain power, control, or manipulate, or whose bloodline should win out, or whatever, all that. It's the law of one rules. We are all that is. God source, first eternal Ah-yah Ay'a. We are the I and the am. And yes, we have different ways of expressing the I, but it's still am. And no one is better than the other, no matter where they were born or whatever their ancestors of place are. All of that helps. You have a deeper connection with your ancestors of place. But ancestors of place know about the I am, true ones, the authentic, organic ones. So they know bringing in it all is the goal, not taking the scissors or whatever, the sword, and cutting it all up. No bad attitude there on my part. Okay. So I guess with that, so next week we'll talk about more of the mechanics about connecting from the light body structure to the spirit body structure. We'll get more into detail about that and understanding the E'Ashayana prayer salon / MyPod space. And yeah, we'll talk more about that. I'm not going to show it, but then I got to go ahead and show it. This, see if you can see it. The pod space, my pointing, yeah, the pod space is there. That's the lotus structure, plasma generator that I was talking about, energies of the spirit body. And so we'll talk more, we'll get more into detail of that mechanics, so please tune in. And the guardians and beings that are connected with that, of who we are truly, authentically. And you should then hopefully have a good education on what's going on with New Earth and what that's really about, and how you can meditate and tune in on your own and embody that. My Being AIS Services Fireside Chat seminars re-embodied the essence of the Law of One class starting in August. That will be putting together all of that mechanics in a very unique, particular way. But if you know you don't want to go through, that's a 6-month course. You can always do a harmonizing journey to realignment session, which is utilizing the MyPod space and connecting into Sanctuary Island. And all the healing and power and reconnecting in the neural network pathways of mind of your own internal core of your being, of your spirit body self. You can do that. That's a very reasonable rate, introductory rate currently of $50 for 2 hours. You get an MP3 audio recording of the session, and you get a ebook copy of a handout that explains a lot of information about it. And then also, if you don't want to do the whole class, this is going to be the main book, although I'm adding to it, but some things to it. But this is the basic self-empowerment principles of awareness handbook, re-embodying the essence of the Law of One. Powerful material that I just keep coming back to with. So yes, this information gets into a lot of the a lot of stuff in, well, becoming who you are is the all that is, God's first eternal Ah-yah Ay'a, and really understanding the mechanics behind how you create your own reality, maneuvering through the neural network pathways of mind. So yeah, see if you can see some of the stuff that we go through there. We really get into the Law of One, essence of the Law of One in this essence of the Law of One in this book too. It's for the raw I am raw followers. I really I love the I am raw material, but it's a very huge, massive, unorganized information. So I love it. It's a good reference material, but to try to really integrate and bring down to earth, so to speak, that information on a daily basis, I think this book really is helpful. And of course, my Waking in Elenia book, which I didn't bring out, but that really is a sci-fi fantasy novel of kind of how to express and be that on a day-to-day basis. And then, of course, my weekly masterclass, Being in Alignment in Spirit, meets Wednesdays at 8 p.m. EDT time, which is New York time. And we're currently going through the responsibilities of mastery from Dance for Life, I think it was 2002 workshop that information came through. And this was the foundational piece of alignment in spirit. I guess with that, I keep getting somebody trying to get me. I kept having to stop the recording. I love you guys. I so appreciate the ones that tune in. I really don't want to downstep this information any more than I have to. I really think at this point we are so much smarter than we give ourselves credit for. And again, oh God, I'm glad I remembered this. I wanted to make sure I stated, and it's just really a general, well, this is not just a general, it's a rule, that all this information that we receive from the Guardian Alliance of the of many domains of expression of our the Emerald Covenant is part of this group, but we've branched out to so much bigger realms than just the original here, Melchizedek, Cloister, Emerald Order, Holy Order of Unisight, Sacred House of One group. And then there's some fringes around that have kind of connected themselves to it, of the original angelic humans on this earth plane. And we've just so many different domains of beings that have come in to of our expanded self. Remember? Self-empowerment principles to live huge now. Embodying it all. I love Renee. Lisa Transcendence Brown, you know, bringing it all here and now and expanding in and out with it, the I and the am. But the point I was trying to make is that the Guardians, with this material that they've worked with E'Asha to bring through during this particular stellar activation cycle that started in, I guess really in the 80s with the, I'm spacing on the term. Anyway, sentient thing officially started January 1st of 2000. Yeah. Is all this information is not hypothetical, it's theory. It's all theory. Okay? They say it's not rock bottom solid. They say it's all theory. And the more I sat with that for a while, and I thought, I thought, you know what? That's really true. Because in this domain, in this light body structure, there's absolutely nothing rock bottom solid. There's absolutely no true fact of anything. There's agreements we make with each other that when we say what a book is, we have an idea of what a book is. Now, everybody that looks at a quote-unquote like this book, all you all tuning in, this is Seth coming in, Seth by Jane Roberts coming in. Everybody looking at this book, they see their own version of books. I see this book, I have my version of the book, and my lone harmonic, my reality. That's where the theory comes in. It's like everybody has their view, or their perception, or their perceptual filters of how they see based on their template of expression that they've created of their light body structure to be in this time-space reality, in this domain. And so when I use terminology that was given, everybody's going to have their own way of seeing it. I have my own way of seeing it. I have my own way of explaining it that may or may not be in alignment with actually what many times maybe even E'Asha thought it was, or somebody else with her, or even the Guardians initially had when they had it come through. But they may, because they kind of see it in a more expanded place, they'll say, oh, we didn't think about that, but that's kind of interesting and awesome, and yes, still works. Okay? Everybody has their own unique world view, right? Okay. So, have a wonderful week. Love you guys. See you next week. Probably, I got a feeling it'll probably still come out around the same time that the other one did last week. Probably Friday, maybe Saturday of this coming weekend. Okay. Shalom ta'akashadur.